ski racing wasn't exactly the sort of game I was expecting to be playing or covering this year, yet here we are with Kandagawa Jet Girls. The game also received an anime adaptation which aired in Japan late last year and wrapped up in January of this year, making Kandagawa Jet Girls a multimedia project. Headed by Kenichiro Takaki, who gave us franchises such as Senran Kagura and Valkyrie Drive, Kandagawa Jet Girls departs from the beat-em-up formula to simply racing on jet skis, or well, jet machines as they're called, and shooting your opponents with water guns, which, if you're observant enough, appear to have come from, or at the very least, been inspired by Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. The racing in this game is similar to Kyoto, or Japanese boat racing, which is one of their 4 public sports where betting on races is legal. The name Kandagawa is Japanese for the Kanda River, which is where the races are based in this game. For transparency, a copy of the game was provided to me courtesy of a PR network. The main story of Kandagawa Jet Girls revolves around Rin Namaki and Misa Oi from Asakura Girls High. Rin aspires to be a jetter just like her mother had been and comes to Asakura to make her dream come true. After meeting with Misa and being challenged to a race by Kaguya Shinjuin and Kuromaru Manpuku, they decide to form a jet racing club, and the first part of the story focuses on Rin and Misa as they meet the other teams before competing in the Kandagawa Cup. Once you complete their story, you can play as the other teams you'd met along the way, each with their own story chapters, challenges and races. You also have a free race against AI opponents or participate in time trials to see if you can get the best time for a particular course. But I bet you're probably wondering, is this game any good? Find out in The Good. I do like the variety of tracks available. There are 8 courses with 3 different routes giving you a total of 24 different tracks to race on. Some areas are available at different times of the day as well, so if you prefer a night or sunset race, some of the courses will give you that option. Some courses even gives you multiple paths that you can take so you can tailor your approach to see if one way is quicker than another. As well as racing through those tracks in the story, you can also organise a free race where you can go up against AI opponents, or compete in time trials to see how you rank up against other players around the world. You can also race other players online, though I didn't really dabble with that at the time. The gameplay was also something I enjoyed too. As well as picking up weapons and using them on your opponent, or the inflatables scattered around the course, you can also perform tricks on the ramps, though 3 of the 4 possible tricks are the same regardless of who you pick. The unique trick differs depending on who you have as the jetter and the shooter, and there are generic tricks if your jetter and shooter are from 2 different teams. You can drift to gain a little bit of speed, and you can boost to put a little bit of distance between you and your opponents as well. Through the story, there are optional challenges which are issued to you, such as using weapons a certain amount of times, or not at all, perform so many tricks, to not even hitting the wall, though I did find those a little on the easy side. For those who come across it, the challenge to overtake 2 teams without being passed is a little confusing, but it requires you to break the shields of 2 opponents and then pass them. For a while I had thought it meant to lap 2 opponents, but other than that, the gameplay for the most part was enjoyable. The references to some of Takaki's work I do somewhat appreciate. The game does have references to Senran Kagura and Valkyrie Drive, with characters from Senran Kagura being available as DLC. Kuromaru Manpuku strongly resembles Manpuku Maru from Valkyrie Drive Bikuni right down to her eye pupils and verbal tick, while there's a team which resembles Kagura and Naraku from Senran Kagura right down to the voice actresses and again eye pupils, not to mention the school logo, as well as all their story chapters being named after Senran Kagura songs. I did like the characters in the game and how well they worked with one another, and their stories reflect the challenges they face as they grow and become stronger and better as a team. I also enjoyed the extracurricular minigames. Outside of racing, you can take part in minigames to gather points, which doubles as the currency in this game. The minigames involve things such as cleaning your jet machine, mopping, running on a treadmill, and performing aerial tricks on a course. As you complete each minigame, you unlock the next difficulty which challenges you further, especially with the treadmill minigame, which at the rate I'm going with it will destroy the square button on my PS4 controller. Building up the points is something I do recommend doing, because as you finish story missions and complete the challenges, you will unlock things from the store ranging from costumes to accessories to jet machine parts to name a few, and you'll need a lot of points to be able to afford it all. The aerials minigame was easily my favourite of the lot, and if you know what you're doing you can get a lot of points fairly quickly in it. As much as I enjoyed these things though, Kandagawa Jet Girls also has its share of problems, which I'll now discuss with the bad. The game I felt was far too easy, as well as a bit slow in terms of how fast your jet machine goes in the beginning. As soon as you're able to buy parts and upgrade your jet machine, you'll be leaving your opponents in the dust, with them easily being anywhere from 30 seconds to over a minute behind you by the time you reach the end of a team's story. As I mentioned earlier, it's even possible to lap your poor opponents if you're fast enough. Even the AI in the strongest setting for free races, while more aggressive, will still easily fall behind as the race drags on. Being so far ahead makes virtually all the weapons useless, so you'll be finding yourself manually using them up in order to complete the challenges of using weapons X amount of times. To get the one where you need to hit everyone at once requires you to have your EPD gauge on the bottom right corner of the screen at full, and for you to pick up the bound ball gun. Problem is that the weapon boxes are randomised, and for a lot of the game you'll only be able to carry one weapon at the time, forcing you to use it up so you can try and get the gun you want from the boxes. The only way to really challenge yourself in this game is to personally put yourself at a disadvantage, which then affects your overall ranking when you complete races. Thankfully, if you complete challenges you don't have to do them again to get the one you missed out on, and then after you complete the challenges you can buff your machine up for the SSS ranking. But it is a bit of a pain replaying one story chapter so many times to fully complete it, and the load times can make this a little more frustrating. It would also be nice if the story chapters had a difficulty setting, though my comment about stomping opponents on the strongest setting would still stand. This one's a bit minor, but the story placement seemed a little bit out of whack to me. Some teams have their stories focused around the Kandigawa Cup, others don't even mention it, so I wonder if some of it takes place after the Cup. I know one team's story definitely does. I didn't come across many issues while I was playing through the game, though some of the physics were something. I did initially experience having the game crash when wanting to restart some of the races, though since I downloaded the 1.01 patch I've never come across that issue again. Other than that should be all for the bad, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. Kandagawa Jet Girls I would consider to be an alright game. The gameplay was fine despite how slow it could be at times, and I had a lot of fun with the minigames. The story was a little fractured and the game was a bit on the easy side to the point where someone like me who's terrible at racing games could do reasonably well. While I did like and appreciate the references to Senran, Kagura and Valkyrie Drive, I also felt that the game was sort of reminding me that they exist by shoehorning these references. Nonetheless, I still like the game's characters and their dynamics with each other. If you enjoyed Senran, Kagura and Valkyrie Drive and want to go for something a little different, then by all means this game is worth looking at while we wait for uppers with any luck to release in the West, or for Senran Kagura 7 to become more relevant again. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Kandagawa Jet Girls this large onigiri that Kuromaru Manpuku just pulled out of nowhere to eat, out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.